All right, welcome back to Developing Hurricanes, where right now we're recording this on a Monday night, which is somewhat abnormal for us because we're not normally get it done early in the week when it's podcast week. But pretty good. I just have to make it to Wednesday, and I will be at AEW Blood and Guts, and I will be the happiest little kid on planet Earth. It will be my second ever wrestling event. I went to WrestleCon, I think is what it was called, the thing they hold in Winston-Salem every year, or they have in the past. It was actually really fun. But I'm excited to go see people beat the hell out of each other. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. But we're not here to talk about wrestling, even though I'd really like to sometimes. We're here to talk about Carolina Hurricanes prospects because we are developing Hurricanes. And I'm Nick, and he is Matt. Matt, hello. How are you?
I'm great. Just got a Switch too, so I've been
Mm.
playing that a lot, and it's yeah.
What games?
We just have Mario Kart and Pokemon right now.
Is it the new one?
Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
How far along are you in that?
In the Pokemon game,
The
I don't know. I don't know, like, because there's no like gyms or anything, so it's
No,
hard to
it's
like.
just it's progression. There is a story. It's just very open world progression. I
Yeah, so
think
like I'm trying to run through the story so that I can just shiny home.
that's fair enough. I think I just passed Wild Zone 3 because I've been playing it on my Switch One, but I've had a lot of other stuff going on, so I haven't been able to play it
Oh, I'm well
fully.
past that. Like I've
Okay,
unlocked like a whole bunch.
yeah, so you're further than me. In any case, we're here to talk about Kane's prospects, and genuinely, 90% of this discussion will be based in the United States for once. You know, I'll talk about it later, but the United States prospects are having a lot better of a run than the overseas prospects. As we get our sixth question, we're back.
So back.
I definitely should have posted that well earlier in the day, and I did think about it, but I kind of just forgot. So we'll put that on me for now. Um, but I guess first up, let's talk about one of the short kings. I should stop calling him that, but we're going to talk about the player that I was most interested in going into this year because Bradley Nadeau's jump from BCHL to NCAA was really big. QMJHL to NCAA is still big, but it's not like it's slightly lesser, but it's still a very large jump, and especially for a player who is listed at 5'8" and 185 pounds, it's going to be interesting when he has to play in a very tough, hard, competitive league like the Hockey East. But Justin Poirier, oh my gosh, one of my favorite players to watch. Mainly, I like Maine as a team. They have a lot of like name recognizable guys. Miguel Marquez, Jaden Lipinski, Jeremy Langlois, I believe his name is. Obviously Josh Nadeau, who I will still hold true that he has an NHL future ahead of him because he does. I truly still believe he does. But Poirier has been a very, very good player for the University of Maine in the 10 games he's played. He's got 9 goals, 5 assists, 14 points, and he's averaging, I mean, I would say 18, high 18s, low 19s in time on ice per game. So he's already been being relied on as a very like heavily used offensive guy, and he's rewarding them again like in a weekend against BU, a team that is loaded with skill. I think I heard on the broadcast they had the highest number of drafted prospects on a college team. Um, he plays against BU, has 3 points and 2 assists for 5 points in 2 games, and he was really good. That's where he scored the goal that still replays in my mind from time to time of him just bullying people off a puck. And I'm not going to say it was a lucky goal, but he did somehow score it in a weird way. But Justin Poirier has been really, really good. And I mentioned it last Saturday, but I said it is still far fetched to imagine that he does get a contract because it's a freshman year and it's one season. But I think in terms of the prospect rankings and stuff like that, and where he sits amongst people's brains whenever they think of Kane's prospects, he's risen considerably from where he was last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest question for Poirier was going to be how does he adjust to not only the quicker pace of the NCAA, but the higher physicality, the older competition. You know, it's a sizable step up from junior hockey. especially coming from the QMJHL, which is, I would say, probably the weaker of the three CHL leagues. So for Poirier to be able to do what he's been able to do this season, like obviously we're early on, but I mean, he's 14 points in 10 games. That's unreal.
He's
This is
I'm sorry.
he's 19 years old. Like he's still very young. Like he's not going to turn 20 until next year.
He was young for his draft class, wasn't he? He was one of
Yep,
the later
September
birthdays.
4th.
Yeah, he was one of the later birthdays. I can never remember those
Yeah, and so the
things.
fact that like he was able to score 50 goals in his draft year while being 17 for the entirety of that season is really impressive. And then, he was able, as a 19-year-old in college to be about a goal a game and over a point per game. That's really impressive to me.
Yeah. He's also, as long as I'm doing my math right and my research correct, which I believe I am, he is still the highest scoring freshman in college hockey currently. Actually, he's tied. Gavin McKenna. Darn you, Gavin McKenna. But also McKenna's played 2 more games. So um yeah, he's just been really, really good. And I'll keep like hammering this point home, but it is still awesome to see a 5'8" player play the way he does with the level of physicality he has when like on the boards and stuff like that, and then the willingness and want to get to the middle, and that's how he scored his goal that was really good against Boston. He just got to the middle of the ice and was more physical on the puck to maintain possession, and that's how he scored. And that is really sick. And that's something you can't really, I guess you can teach it in players, but it's not something that is easily teachable. And it's nice to see a 19-year-old already have that instilled from him from like day one of his career.
Yeah, I mean, with Poirier, I just looked for under 20 skaters in the NCAA. He was fifth in scoring, which is very impressive. Like, the guys ahead of him are Max Plant, second round pick. Michael Haig, I believe, was a first round pick.
Yeah, he
Will
was
Horkoff
first.
was
He was one of
he
the
was a first round
three.
pick this past year,
Yeah, with Kendall and
and then
Zonin. Sorry.
Cole Hudson, I believe, was a pretty high pick too.
Yeah,
Second,
early
yeah,
early second, if I'm not mistaken.
yep. So for Poirier, who I believe is a fifth round pick to be there, that's very impressive. You know, man, I still think the Canes should have drafted Wittenbach, man.
Oh, Ethan Wittenbach, the kid from Quinnipiac. I mean, the Quinnipiac pipeline has been working.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that because we do have a question about one of the Quinnipiac guys, and we'll have to talk about his. I would say funny injury, but it's not funny in the slightest. But the manner in which it happened is definitely slightly humorous, at least in my opinion. I could be
yeah.
wrong. In any case, let's go back to college. Still leading the prospect system, the whole of prospects in points, but has dropped. I guess dropped off a little bit because he's not leading the country in scoring anymore. But he is still tied for third with his teammate Charlie Serrato, who had a very very tough weekend against a very good Michigan State team where he was held he was held pointless for a weekend for the first time this season. And I'm the pointless thing doesn't stress me out at all because I, sometimes it just happens, but his game doesn't revolve around points. I mean, obviously 18 and 12 is really nice. Don't get me wrong at all. But I think the main thing is just him continuing developing the professional traits that you want to see. So him working on his penalty kill. I would say working on face-offs, but my God, he's really good. Um, just continuing to get bigger and stronger and just pushing himself to get as close to pro ready as possible. And I believe we actually have a question about Serato, so we will loop that in with this, but I will let you talk about what you've seen with Serato over the past couple of weeks or since he was drafted.
Just a confidence. I think he's playing like a player that is really good at the NCAA level. I mean, you know, he was almost a point per game last year as a freshman, and he's over a point per game this year. That's a good progression to have. I don't think there's a lot left for him in the NCAA. I would like to see him produce against better competition. I think he's kind of feasted on some bad teams, but like if you kind of look over the past 4 games, they've played Michigan State twice and Ohio State twice, and he has 1 point.
That is, yeah. But if we're gonna do that,
He
Arizona
did really
State,
well against Arizona State and Clarkson, but I do think it's
yeah,
worth pointing out that those four
like
games he was a
it was,
non-factor.
yeah, it was also early in the year, so teams were still figuring out certain things. But um, I think to me it's fine just because it's still very early in the season and he's got a lot of time to kind of figure it out. And it's not great, but if he can continue to contribute offensively and do it in the ways that he had, um, it'll probably be fine. I will say this weekend though, we get some Canes prospects on Canes prospects action in college. And this is probably when I looked, if I ever wanted to travel to games this year, this was the one I looked at the most because it is Penn State and the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, I believe. So it's going to be a very large test for both these teams. Michigan is the number 2 ranked team in the country, and Penn State is 6th with all their talent, of course. So it'll be interesting to see. And obviously, I want Serrato to kind of get back to what he was doing against the weaker teams and Clarkson and Arizona State, but it does happen. So the question about Serrato comes from Blue Sky from Carolyn O. What do you foresee for him this season and next? Any comparables you can make? I suck at comps, so I'm gonna let Matt handle that if he can think of one. But for what do I foresee for him for this season and next? It kind of depends on what Penn State does in the tournament. If they go super deep or they win the whole thing, would imagine this would be Serrato's last year in college. Just because at that point he would have nothing left to prove at the college ranks. You look good against college comp, um, and you've dominated against college comp. And I think the Spengler Cup is going to also be a very good measuring stick to kind of see because that college team is going to go up against some talented European competition. So I'm interested to see how he fares in that as well because he'll probably be used as a top 6 forward there. So I'm interested about that. So I think if he looks good in the Spengler Cup and Penn State goes pretty far and he continues to progress the way he has this season, I would imagine that he gets signed to a contract. I would think he would get a look in the bottom 6 if it does happen. Like come like the last couple games of the year, if he does get signed, he might get a look at the NHL level. But I think AHL seasoning might just work better because the Canes also just have a log jam of bottom 6 forwards.
Yeah, I can't think of a good comp for him, but he's definitely more of like a playmaking type player. He can put the puck in the net, but I don't think that's going to be his primary function. I think he's more of a distributor. I think he's a really talented defensive center, is really good in the face-off circle. So, I think that there's a lot of potential there. I also think he signs at the end of the year. I don't think given Carolina's just sheer lack of centers, I
Yeah.
think you want to get him into the system as quickly as possible. Not necessarily to get him in the NHL right away, but to get him developing those pro habits a little quicker. I think, getting him at the end of the year would be awesome, just so you could start to kind of give him more individualized training.
Yeah, I was trying to go and look at last year's NHL stats to think if I can get anybody who's a decent face-off guy but is more of a distributor than a shooter. And if I wanted to do this, I should have done it a lot earlier. I'm not going to say Robert Thomas because that's way too high. Not trying to be rude to
Smooth.
Serrato. What? I thought,
Rob Thomas.
yeah, the St. Louis guy.
Yeah,
I
no, the singer of the hit song "Smooth."
You have to remember my age whenever you make jokes like this, dude. I'm a young man. I'm sorry. Um,
You're telling
but
me you haven't heard "Smooth" by Santana featuring Rob Thomas?
I probably have, but I'm not going to remember it off the top of my head. I am 23. Well, I turned 24 in a month. Oh dear God. But I'm young-ish, so let's relax here. Let's talk about Penn State's comp after talking about Serato. Let's go to Michigan, where Jaden Perron. Hey, man, he's he's got 29 games to go to get 9 points. It's a tall task, I'd say, but he can get close to tying to beating his career high in points in college with Michigan if he gets 9 more points, as he has 11 points in 12 games. He's been a top six winger. Um, the people his lines have been juggled a ton over the past couple weeks as Michigan's trying to find the best like way to utilize their top six with guys like TJ Hughes and Michael Haig and Malcolm Spence, TJ Moldenhauer, all those guys. And Perron's been a mainstay in the top six, and he's been good. He's kind of just been the same Perron, but I think this time he's looked more engaged. Um, Everything's kind of just working for him, and I don't want to say that the talent level that he's playing with is better, but you know, I'm not going to say that actually. I'm sorry. I think he just looks more engaged. He's looked a lot better this season, and I think also a cool thing about Jaden Perron, he doesn't take penalties. He has 2 penalty minutes this year, and his career high in college is 8. So that's pretty cool. Anything on Perron, Matt?
I'm still not sold.
You're not sold on anybody, man.
No, we're going to talk about a player that I'm actually much more sold on when we start talking about the AHL.
Okay.
But I think with Perron, he's showing better poise with the puck this year. He's making quicker decisions. I think that's been his problem in the past, is he's just held on to the puck for too long. And I mean, think about it. When he was in junior hockey, when he was with the Steel, he was their best player. He could do that. He can't do that at the NCAA level, and it took him 2 years to figure that out. I think with Perron, I'm still not seeing the high end skills or skating ability that you need to have as a player that is 5'9".
Mm.
And that's why I'm kind of pumping the brakes a little bit, because he's not that good of a skater. I think he's fine, but 5'9" players need to be more than just fine at skating if they're going to make it. Or they need to be like Jackson Blake, where they're
Where the skating is made up for by a different standout trait or two.
well, I mean, Blake has the hard work. He keeps his feet
Yeah.
moving. He's good on the forecheck. He's got elite puck skills, and an elite hockey sense too. That is what separates Blake from the Jaden Perron types.
Yeah. Sorry, something just started to update on my computer, and my computer was going through it. But yeah, I get it. The couple Michigan games I've seen this year, I've liked him, but I'm not gonna say you're wrong. Because you're not. I would like to see him just become the best player on the ice. Because I think he has he's had the talent to do it. He just hasn't done it. And I would like to see it at some point. Maybe it comes this weekend against Penn State. You never know. Things can happen.
Yeah, Serato against Perron would be a fun matchup to watch.
I mean, we're watching it for we're gonna watch it for that, but I think it'll just that like I hope that's on something that I can watch it though, because I have had the
It'll be on Big
damnedest
Ten
time.
Network.
As long as it's on the Big Ten Network and on Big Ten Plus, because Big Ten Plus has been the bane of my existence over the past weeks, dude. It sucks. I hate that thing. Um, Stop laughing over there. All right, let's do the Wolves because we have a lot to talk about with the Wolves. They have a lot going on. What part of the Wolves would you like to start with first, Matthew?
I think we need to talk about just how much better Felix Angersorum has been this year.
That, shockingly enough, I have my notes like on my screen right here that, and I wrote them down like 30 seconds before we started, and somehow I had 5 things. That was not one of them. But yes, we do need to talk about that 1000% because Felix Hungerstorm looks like a completely new and much more improved player.
Yeah, like I was talking with Andrew Rinaldi, who obviously covers the Wolves,
Good guy.
and we were talking about just how much better Felix looks, just confidence wise. Take away everything else, and I'll talk about the other improvements in a bit. But it's the confidence, man. He has been playing with so much poise. I think he leads the Wolves in goals with Nikita Pavlichev
You know
with
what? I don't even
4.
have to look it up. That is 1000% true.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, the Wolves have not scored a ton of goals this year,
No.
but that's beside the point. With Felix, the confidence is getting the puck off his stick right away, shooting more. It's getting into those board battles. He may not win everyone yet, but he's at least able to hold his own, maybe get a little bit of support, and then can immediately react and move to the next play. Like it's night and day this year what he was. And I mean, I'm not going to say I was writing him off after last year. He was barely 19 years
Hey,
old.
man. I saw him drop down the rankings at the end of the year.
He did. And to be fair, I think with Felix, the other issue was there's a lot of players that moved up, and it isn't, and especially with the draft, like the shiny new toys are always going to be a little bit more exciting. I think we've got a tendency to overrate them. I know I do sometimes. Um, with Felix, though, I needed to see it. I needed to see, hey, he's a 5'11" forward that doesn't skate super great, but he's got super unreal hockey sense and playmaking ability. How can he get that into something that works? And right now we're seeing it work. And that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, I had one goal example in my 16 thoughts of the stuff that I really like to see, and I think it's big. It's mainly attributed to the confidence level, and it was a power play goal earlier in the year where he got the puck off the boards and uh Kevin Korchinski stays at home and a forward starts crashing in. And I know I'm horrible at explaining things. So the forward comes crashing in, and Felix is such a passer that teams just know he doesn't like to shoot, which is a lie. Nowadays it's a lie. But the forward comes in and just goes to play the pass and it doesn't work because Felix just decides to turn directly towards the net and the forward gets left behind. Korchinski doesn't even try and play the shot because he knows Felix at this point. They played like 6 times against each other last year and Felix just goes straight to the net, shoots, and it goes in. And it just beats the
It's
goalie
also
clean.
Kevin Korchinski, who's not exactly a model of defensive prowess.
Let me get my example off in peace,
I'm sorry.
okay? I'm trying to
I'm a
explain the things
hater of
I
Korchinski. I'm
like.
sorry.
I like to explain the things I'd like to see, and then the empty net goal Sunday or Saturday,
That was a big
where
one.
he got the turnover by using his stick, won a foot race, outmuscled the guy for puck possession, and scored.
Yep.
That's the good stuff. That is the very good stuff. That's the goods. That just felt like a Hurricanes player doing that because that is something that like a Seth Jarvis would do or a Sebastian Aho. Not comparing them in the slightest. Don't do that. But
No. I know
it's
what you're trying to do.
definitely like the way that Felix has played this year. Whenever Nadeau has been up with Carolina, um, Felix has looked like Chicago's best forward a lot of the times. And I'm very glad to see that because last year he was kind of lost in the shuffle, and the Wolves have need a guy to step up because without Nadeau, the offense turns desperately anemic. But even with Nadeau, the offense is somewhat anemic. So I'm glad to see
Yeah, I
that
think
Felix is
with
having
Felix,
more.
it's also been he's consistent, right? He's only
Yes.
been held pointless in 2 of the team's 11 games, and he has 10 points. So that's been really nice to see. I do agree. Chicago's problem, I think, is they just don't have a lot of guys. Like the Kane system is very dry right now. Just given the state that it's in, they're also missing 3 defensemen.
Yeah. And they're probably going to be missing Legault for a good amount of time because man, that was a nasty injury. Um,
I'm hoping it's just a cut and not something worse, but man,
I
that
I
looked
almost
bad.
I almost had a really bad thing where I was gonna say, "Dang, this is like Victor Rask," but somehow it was related to hockey. But I didn't really feel like it made sense. But Victor Rask also sliced his hand open, but it happened in a much funnier way than what Legos did. So no, nothing. All right, cool. Um,
Sorry, I was looking at somebody rage posting about Lego.
uh,
It
oh,
was
is
a
that like
Rockford fan.
oh, even funnier? Um, So the other guy I want to talk about, who I would put in the conversations of most improved, just because maybe not improved is the right word, but I think I'd use improved at this point. Dominic Badinka.
That's
Um,
not who I thought you were going to say on defense, actually, but I like it. Yeah.
I think I know the other guy that you thought I was going to say, and we will talk about him because I've liked him. But um, I have thoroughly enjoyed Dominic Badinka, and I compared what I've seen this year to what I saw from Legault in Legault's first pro year of hockey, and I'm going to stick with that because Badinka's getting put in that same spot of at least Saturday and Sunday. He had Fensore as his main partner. Oh my god, dude, I'm so sorry. Everything is just going wrong for me today.
What was that?
Dude, my everything's just gone wrong. I think I stayed up till 11:30 last night. And everything, my body's just out of whack. My arm was twitching for like 45 minutes in class this morning. It was disgusting.
Mm.
Um, but I compared him, Badinka to Legault's first pro year, and I'm seeing a lot of the same similarities. The one thing that Badinka doesn't have that Legault did have was the physicality because Legault has physicality in spades. But from Badinka, I'm seeing the same like thought processes on breakouts. He's getting a lot smarter with either the puck going up or joining the rush or just breaking out by himself. Um, he's getting really smart at that. His defense has been really good too. He's been thrust into a lot of penalty killing this year. I think he's been one of the first guys out with I think it's been mainly Bayreuther, who his partner has been before Bayreuther went to join the Hurricanes, Slavin and Brindamore. But Badinka's been used in like that same Legault role, and I'm seeing a lot of the similar results that I saw with Legault that I'm seeing with Badinka now. And I think that's great because Badinka is 3 years younger than Legault was, or at least 2 years younger than Legault was. And if Badinka can start to develop that physicality more, I think that's like the one big missing piece from his game right now. And I think other areas need some refinement. But Badinka has shown a lot of what made him the highest drafted guy 2 years ago at this point, which makes me feel weird to say.
Yeah. With Bedenka, I just think like we're getting to see him play at his, just kind of play his game, and he's playing a good amount. So this past week, the Wolves played 3 games, and he had 18 and a half minutes against Iowa,
Oh, look at me. I'm cool. All right. You can see time on ice. Yeah.
1955 against Iowa in the second game, and then 1853 in the third game, which was against Grand Rapids. This is all rough because the AHL doesn't track ice time, so I'm going based off
Yeah.
the
I
shift.
know. It's so cool.
Listen, I'm going based off of the shift by shifts,
Mm.
but um, he does. I think one thing I would like to see a little bit more from Badinka is the play on the defensive side. He hasn't been credited with a ton of block shots. He doesn't really have a ton of hits. He's not really passing to the slot all that much. So again, he's 19 years old, and so I think with him, what we're really going to be looking for is how he can take his game to the next level. And I think something we can start with is the just get the defensive side of the game figured out. I think that's really all I'm hoping for from Badinka since he's so young. Once he gets that, the rest can follow.
Yeah. Defense will forever be the thing that a lot of defensemen take longer to develop. Um, just because, like, if they're good in junior, um, when you're good in junior, it will not translate consistently to the next level because it's going to take you a minute to get used to the speed and the physicality going from junior to the next level to the next level. But like I said, I've seen a lot of the stuff that I saw with Legault. I still think Legault was further ahead, but I have liked the track that Badinka has taken so far in being thrust into
100%.
those roles where he can be taken. Now, whenever I
So,
said,
can I give you a funny stat real quick?
"Give me it,"
So I looked at Badinka's
pause.
goals.
Sorry,
His first goal, which was against Manitoba, had an expected goals of 0.1.
goated. That's my boy.
You want to know how much his second one had?
Probably lower because if I'm remembering correctly, it was somehow a worse goal.
0.06.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, 2 goals on 0.16 XGA or XGF, sorry.
Yeah.
That's the GOAT. I'm
So
sorry.
it's just funny. Like there's nothing you can take out of that, but like I just thought it was really funny with the just like the sheer lack of expected goals
Dude, I
there.
think that's sick. 2 goals on 0.16 expected. That's
Yeah.
sick. Um, so whenever I said most improved on the Wolves, who did you think I was gonna say?
I was thinking you were talking about Bryce Montgomery.
That yeah, I would say he's a very close second if we're talking about defensemen solely. But Bryce Montgomery has genuinely been awesome for the Wolves. Um, if we're talking about Badinka not being physical, buddy, let me tell you what Bryce Montgomery loves to do.
He's on pace for 300 penalty minutes.
He is a menace out there. Oh my god, and it's awesome. He's 6'4". I think he's listed 230, 240 ish, 250.
He's 6'5".
Oh, 6'5", but is
He's
his
2. He's
weight,
like 230 something.
son, he knows what he has and he uses it effectively. He goes out there and he just lays people out. He gets into fights and he wins 90% of them because he's 6'5" and 230 pounds. But the
Yep.
best part is, it's not even all about the physicality. My boy can play some good defense. He, I mean, the physicality plays a large part in it because if you have Bryce Montgomery hitting you, you're probably losing puck possession because he's 6'5" and 230 something pounds. But he's active with his stick, and the physicality is just insane. So he can separate man from puck. He hasn't looked out of place in the AHL. And I think that's amazing for a guy who's played 2 straight seasons in the ECHL to go up a level in competition and still look pretty solid. And I want to say at least one of his points is primary. I don't think the
Yeah,
second
he's
one is, but actually, they
I
might be both primary.
I forget who he set up, but you're right. And honestly, just with Bryce, it's like the defense has been really strong, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, obviously, when we have so many injuries at the NHL level, you kind of forget to think like this has impacts at lower levels, like the AHL. Carolina obviously has a glut of defensemen down there, but being able to finally give Bryce Montgomery his ice time, I think, he's always been good enough to play at this level. Carolina just has so many defensemen,
Yeah.
and with Lego and Nystrom and Vensori was
Fensore
out
at
for a little
times,
bit.
Beiruther at times.
Bayreuther's now up. Like guys like Badinka, guys like Montgomery, they're getting bigger opportunities, and it's nice to see not only them succeeding, but the team succeeding as well. Like Chicago has done pretty well recently.
Yeah, and at least for the game on Sunday, I'm gonna put at least 80% of that game on the backs of another gigantic human being. That is Ruslan Hajayev, of course.
It is. He's been very
My
good.
God, what a game he had! I said 2 out of 3 goals weren't his fault because it was 2 power play goals that were tipped in right out
Mm-hmm.
in front. There's not much a goalie can do about those. Sometimes you'll see heroics, but most of the time it's just an unfortunate thing. Third goal was kind of a moment where somebody completely forgot to cover somebody, which I also would not really attribute it to his fault, but maybe he could have gotten over there if he wasn't a little too far out of his net. Um, but that's just Ruslan Hajayev. But with the recklessness, which still exists to a good amount, but I feel as if he's reined it in a little bit. It's slowly coming together. The craziness is slowly getting scaled back. But what's more important to me is that it didn't become a leaking well. It didn't just
Yeah.
become, oh, I gave up one. Well, here comes 2 and 3 and 4. It was, well, here's a goal, and now I'm going to have to do something. The last stretch of that game, in like the last 10 minutes of the third period, overtime, and the shootout, he took over the game, I
Yeah,
would say.
100%.
He became their most important player because the Wolves couldn't get really anything going offensively. And that is what you want to see. And I thought that was sick. I thought that was one of his best AHL games that he's had in the past 2 years. And how does he get rewarded for it? I'm
He
pointing to
gets
you.
sent to um,
He gets sent to Greensboro.
Greensboro. Yeah, thank you.
And I get it. Amir Miftakov and Caden Primu's here now after spending a vacation in Toronto. But, if I'm looking at Ruslan Hajayev's AHL stuff and I'm looking at a guy like Nikita Kwap, even though I know Nikita Kwap is hurt, actually. That's what they saw on the broadcast. I'm being very serious. Jason Shaver said that Nikita Kwap is battling an injury.
I'm not gonna say what I want to say. Um,
Why is that,
I'll be
Matt?
I'll be polite. Nikita Kwap has been awful this year.
Wow, you really just not going to say what I want to say, but wow.
No, because that's the polite way of saying it.
Okay.
Again,
I
being
mean,
friendly.
if I'm trying to pick a goalie to get like a couple spot starts, I'm picking Ajayev, but at the same time, I do get it. The Canes want Ruslan to get as many games as possible to just continue getting him game time, and
Yeah,
he'll get it in Greensboro because wow, the other Greensboro goalies. I think they had a guy play his first pro game over the weekend,
they have
and
already
then
played
a lot.
4 goalies this year.
Yes. One of them is an Oilers prospect who I had to remind myself was even there in the first
Yeah,
place.
Connor Unger was loaned
Yes,
there. He was not drafted,
he was
so
signed.
he was signed out of the freaking
Did I say U
U
Sports?
Sports. Actually, you know what? No, I remember Connor Unger when he was with Moose Jaw, and he wasn't bad.
Well, the 1 year in U Sports seemed to have done pretty good for him, so you got a contract.
If I recall correctly, Brock University. No, Brock is in Ontario. What am I talking about?
Couldn't tell you.
The only I one of my former scouts went to Brock.
Oh, so that's pretty cool. Um, well, I mean, I only got 2 more things on my Wolves list. One of them is just continuing to give praise to Justin Robida for being awesome at hockey.
He's great.
Um, kind of, it really does suck because I feel like him and Suzuki to a lesser extent, even though technically Suzuki isn't a prospect anymore because he's aged out. I still loop him in from time to time just to kind of do it. I like pure habit. But he is technically not a prospect anymore. But Justin Robida is like, I would say he's probably a bottom 6 NHL player at this point, just because of his play style and stuff like that. Um, hasn't taken a penalty this year in 11 games. That's kind of neat. But yeah, I mean, I love Robida. I love the way he plays. He's just active all the time. Really, he has good offensive traits. Just kind of stinks that he won't. I mean, not won't, but kind of just stinks that he hasn't gotten an NHL call up this year, but has only played a couple because I think he's probably an NHL guy now.
Yeah, I think with Robida, it's tough because he's not. He doesn't have the ceiling of like a top six guy, so you can't put him in like a Jackson Blake spot. And
Sorry.
then I think with Robida though, like he's earned a spot at the NHL. You've just got to find the right spot for him. And Carolina's just so deep.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but I still think he's been. He's just been awesome to watch at the AHL level.
Oh,
He's
he's great.
like one of those players I love just tuning in for whenever Chicago plays because I know what he's going to do and I know he's going to be good at it. So, last couple things before we dive into questions because now we've actually gotten quite a few of them.
Are we just gonna not talk about Russia? You think?
What do you think I'm about to?
Oh, I'm sorry. You said you had two more Wolves things. I thought Robida was the
The
first.
only other thing I had was Nadeau. I'm just saying,
He's
he
good.
played. Yeah, he putting him on the line with Robida and Suzuki. It looks good, kind of like it has. So I always, just I would love to see Chicago. I'm pretty sure Spiros is penalty kill and defense. Also,
Yeah.
shout out Spiros. God, he is doing the Lord's work down in Chicago. My word. They've had a very good penalty kill last year, and this year they're still continuing the very good penalty kill.
Yeah, aside from the Griffins game, they've been really good.
Well, yeah, the Griffin. Well, didn't they also score a shorthanded goal in that game?
They two. So like, but they also gave up three power play goals.
So the law of averages say you only gave up one power play goal. All I'm
Sure,
saying.
sure.
But also his development work so far with Badinka in his first full pro year, and Bryce Montgomery, and getting the group that is also using like Braden Doyle, and making that group a
Certainly,
pretty
again,
strong group. Amazing work. If he does do the forwards, I'm sorry for saying that, but I mainly said that to just say the power play. Can we just maybe get some different guys on there? Maybe like try a different strategy than just get the puck to the left circle so Nadeau shoots. I would like to see maybe some new guys on power play too. That'd be kind of cool, or maybe a set play not for Bradley Nadeau. I think that'd be nice.
Chicago doesn't have a plan outside of Nadeau's out there somewhere.
Yeah. All right. To Russia. I'll do the Future Cup first because I mean, it wasn't really anything amazing for Kane's guys. Kurbin Limitov played in one game after being a late call up. He was on a pair with Roman Chakrin. Kind of cool. Actually, the whole like bottom line there was 13th forward Andrei Krutov, right defenseman Kurbin Limitov, left defenseman Roman Chakrin. So that was kind of cool. Got all Hurricanes prospect group there. He looked fine. Andrei Krutov was the 13th forward in 2 games. He was fine. Nothing to write home about. But Roman Chakrin, I mean, I've liked his MHL stuff. I think he's been a good MHL player, and it kind of sucks not to see him play at the VHL level to get a step up in comp. But he had a very good Future Cup, and it's kind of the interesting thing is that out of that 2023 defenseman group, was it 23 or 24? 24, yeah, 24. I'm very sorry. With Chakrin, Cole, and Suryatsky, I'd say Chakrin is easily the guy that gets talked about the least.
Yes.
But to Team Russia, he's been their most consistent, like Kane's prospect defenseman. Because Cole, I mean, he did get a second pairing opportunity, but he got hurt. So that kind of stinks. But there was that, and then Limitov didn't really play. Sheryatsky, I wasn't invited, and I want to honestly say it's just because he's been getting KHL opportunities. But also Alexander Jurovsky went, so I don't know. In any case, Chakrin had a really good Future Cup. He looked really good defensively. He was really stout. He's a big physical defenseman. Shocker. Um, and offensively, he had 2 secondary assists, but I really like the stuff that he does in zone. Maybe I shouldn't say really like, but I do like the stuff he does in zone. He's good at keeping pucks in, good at keeping everything kind of moving around, doing good, and I've liked that. But I'm gonna be real, I didn't really watch a lot of the Future Cup. Unfortunately, those games start like when I'm in class, and I don't really have the opportunity to watch the games, so kind of sucks. But
Yeah, with Shocker, I mean, he's a big defenseman. I think when the Canes drafted him, because they took him in the 6th round, like he was super raw, but had the size. He had at least semi decent skating, and he hadn't gotten a ton of opportunities yet. And I think that was kind of the case last year too. He didn't really get a whole lot of opportunities at the MHL level, and we're
well,
starting to see with him getting attention for the national team. It shows, at least the national U20 team, like he's got talent. He's one of the best defensemen in the country, you know,
for his age group, yeah,
for his age group. So that's exciting. But I mean, there's still a long way to go, right? Because I mean, he hasn't played a level higher than the MHL. I think the puck handling is better. I've watched like 3 Chakrin games total.
oh, we're gonna
And
get your numbers up, buddy.
he's been fine in all of them. Like I can see why Carolina wanted to take him, because that's a guy that you can just kind of let cook in Russia for a while, and then it's not going to be like a Nikishin situation where he becomes the best defenseman ever. But it could be, hey, this guy, he's 6'5", he could fill in on our third pair someday. That
Yeah.
type of thing.
Um, and the other part I want to talk about in Russia is just, man, it's been after last year where I had so much to talk about in Russia. Russia just this has not been kind to Kane's prospects this year. Um, Semyon Frolov doing spectacularly, hurt for a long time.
Is
Um,
it actually a long time? I don't see.
well, I don't know the timeline yet. I've been meaning to ask, and I just haven't. So I've been a little bit of a
Yeah.
coward there. But
Roman
that
Balsov hasn't played yet this year.
no, I was told nothing actually. I was told nothing. um, I had
That's good.
read something that he was getting closer to game action, but nothing obviously came about. Um, Igor Velmakin. Actually, I'm not going to loop him into this conversation. I've actually enjoyed Igor Velmakin this year, and I think he's actually been good, and he's finally getting game time now after 2 long years. Who else? Kerbin Limitov has been hurt for a little bit and is just now getting in. He did suit up for KHL action today, didn't play at all, but was
Of
still nice to
course.
see him get called up. Vladimir Gurdinin hurt. I did actually read that he is hurt and he hasn't played in over a month or about to be a month. Yarovoy's been in the VHL and hasn't seen KHL action in a while. Nikita Artemonov is Nikita Artemonov as of right now. I don't really know how to describe it. Um, I'm not going to loop Alexander Pelvin in because he's actually been okay. Andrei Krutov's off to a slower start. Timur Mukanov, the 150th game in the KHL today. Kind of cool for a young guy because he's only 20, which is weird. But he's kind of just there now. And then Timur Cole has been good, but he's been in the MHL the whole year. Comparatively, he was getting KHL minutes last year. Then again, Roman Rotenberg, the GOAT, was currently doing that stuff. So Fyodor Avramov has gotten KHL opportunities, at genuine KHL opportunities now, but it's been on the 4th line. It's been like 6 minutes a game. And today, after Sochi brought in a player, 13th forward didn't touch the ice. Paravelov's been fine. But like the big standouts this year are Suryatsky and Frolov. And if we're doing a top three, I'd probably put Velmakin in there. Other than that, kind of just been a down year overall, which kind of stinks.
I'd put Cole ahead of Elmikin.
We can have our disagreements.
Yeah.
It just kind of stinks.
You want to hop into questions?
Last thing, Viggo Nordlund, doing great.
What a guy.
Yeah. I want to do tape reviews again. I really enjoy doing the after further reviews. And I want to do either Badinka or Nordlund because I want to get my eyes on them more. I just have to get my hands on tape, which is very hard because everything about the AHL is so good and I love them. Okay, we have a lot of questions, shockingly, because we've been
there's
talking.
a lot. We need to get into these.
Oh, you got time. I don't want to hear it. I know you want to, but like, gosh, man, I'm not that hard to talk to.
No, I'm saying like we've got a lot, and I guess it's not for another.
You got an hour and a half, man. Calm down over there. It's not going to take us an hour and a half to go through these questions.
You don't know that.
If it takes us an hour and a half to go through these questions, my God, we suck. From Sam Hughes on Blue Sky. Nadeau looked a bit lost on the shuffle. No, and I'm guessing that's in the shuffle. And I think the Wild had prepped for him on the power play. Well, do we have news for you? They had a guy just sitting on him in front of the left dot. Yeah, I think the Wild figured out the game plan there. Should we be? This was the one I was actually really intrigued about. Should we be regretting Charles Alexis Legault not coming up in the playoffs instead of Morrow? Could have used a bit of grit, toughness. No, you should not, because Legault was not where he is now at this point last year. Scott Morrow was at that time more NHL ready than Legault. I think the grit and toughness thing, yeah, you definitely probably would have liked more of that, and Legault provides that in spades when Morrow does not. But I think you had to have Morrow get game time because what he did last year. So I don't think you should be regretting it. I think it's kind of funny looking back at it now. But other than that, I think it was. I think Morrow getting the call was always the right choice.
Yeah, you were getting, and by calling up Morrow, Legault was getting more ice time as a result.
Yes.
I also don't think Charles Alexis Legault would have made a huge difference against Florida in the playoffs.
No, I don't think so. Hey, at least I won a game, though.
Hilariously, Morrow only has 2 points with Hartford this year.
Yeah, and he hasn't been called up. It's a little. He hasn't even sniffed the NHL this year.
All I'm gonna say is when we're right, we're right.
I just need I need the bunny with the stopwatch, and he's just tapping it a little bit as like an image, like right here.
With Morrow, it was like,
what the hell?
When he became, what'd you say?
Sorry, dude. I just looked insane.
With Morrow here, like when we saw him last year, it was so obvious he was not an NHL player.
It's gonna let you.
When he was traded, we were like, okay, Carolina's trading him at the peak of his value. That's why, like, and when I said this last year, I wasn't necessarily advocating for the Canes to trade Nadeau. I was saying it made the most sense at that point because he was coming off of a 30-goal AHL season at 19 years old. Like, Carolina was able to get the Keandre Miller deal done in part because they had Morrow to dangle in front of the Rangers. And we all know how great they are at evaluating talent.
Ooh, shiny keys.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Rangers are.
39 points in the AHL.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so, Chris Drury sees that and he's like, great, I've got Adam Fox 2.0. No, you do not.
If he can't beat out Will Borgen.
Yeah.
Is it Vakanainen? Is he still there? I'm pretty sure he's still there.
I don't think so.
I thought he was. Well, yeah, you're not wrong. I still thought Morrow was good offensively. Defensively, he still just wasn't there, and physically, he just wasn't there. There was just
Yeah.
still so much more to work on, and that was his first pro season, so I'm not gonna like harp on it too bad. But now that you have the two other right-handed guys who have gotten these calls up now, it's kind of like
At
you know
his age, DeAndre Miller was a
full-time
3-year
NHLer.
NHL veteran.
Yeah, yeah. It's all right. Let's move on, and we'll get the last of the blue sky questions out of the way from K Swagger. It's a little early for this, but who do you see being likely to join the Wolves next season? With the European prospects in particular, how much does it depend on how developed they are versus whether they seem to be getting enough opportunity where they are? Example, Trikozov may have been the latter. Trikozov was a saga in and of itself that I don't think I'm qualified to get into. Just a lot that happened there. Um, and he found himself in North America. So hey man. Who do I see being likely to join the Wolves? Dear God.
Do you want me to start?
Throw out a guy.
Justin Poirier.
I'm saying no.
You're saying give him another year?
Yes, I'm saying give him another year in college.
I will say that is dependent on how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah. I think if you're going off like right now and he continues and like at the end of the year it's like 40 games and
Yep.
45 points, very tempting to just go,
Yeah.
all right, Chicago. As
Timur
of right now,
Cole is
probably not.
another one that I can think of.
I would love it because I would like to see the Wolves get a good like a good puck moving defenseman that's bigger because right now their good puck moving defenseman is Dominic Fensore.
I think Badinka's on his way.
Yeah, but I would like to see another one. I think Cole fits that. I don't know. I know his contract. I think it's up, which is
Yeah,
why
it
you
is.
said
That's
it.
why I said it.
Yeah. I'd be intrigued. I think if you can get him over, dear God, please, because I think again, I'm a huge Spiros advocate for what he's done, and if he's doing the defense, I think he could do a really good job with developing some of these guys.
Avramov is
Um,
another one whose contract is up that I'm thinking.
that one, I have a feeling I don't want to say it's going to be like Yaravoy, where I kind of be like, oh, he might leave, and then my heart gets shattered into a million pieces. But getting brought over this past summer, let me do the Brian Windhorst. Do you remember that where he was like something big is happening in Utah? So 1 year left on his contract. Well, yeah, 1 year left on his contract going into this year. Gets invited to the prospect showcase. Now, why would that be? It's because they just wanted a really good view of him, and if they like what he does, and they kind of track his development through some people and see that he's doing good, Chicago.
Yeah.
I
Other
think
than
that was a
that,
big one.
ooh,
Is Timur Mukhanov out of a contract?
yeah, I don't think he's that good.
I'm just naming guys, man. Mukhanov is
Um,
one. Krutov just re-signed. Simon Forsmark, who we have a question about actually, but he's also out of a contract, and this is the last year the Canes own his rights.
it is the last year the Canes own his rights. Let's save the discussion on Forsmark
Till we get
for,
to the question, yeah.
for that question.
Oh, another guy that
Is
I
it
would like to imagine that he
Vladdy
get
Roods? No, he signed for a while.
who?
Gradinin.
Yeah, he's signed for after this year. It's one more. Another guy that kind of had the same deal as Avramov, Alexander Rykov.
Yeah, he's a tough one because he's not been good at the KHL level.
I, I don't really know how I want to vocalize, but I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you because he just has been a passenger, but he's been getting horked
Oh, and then
because
we haven't talked about Charlie Serrato.
oh yeah, I think again, kind of depends on what Penn State does. 90% chance he's on the Wolves, I'd say.
Yeah. So that's a rough
Goalie.
list. Like
Well, you
the
mean you have a
hopeful would be
goalie.
Serrato, Avramov, Cole, maybe Forsmark.
I think you kind of nailed it there. The only other one that I would include, just because his contract is up, and depending on how they handle goalies, my buddy Igor.
Oh,
He's
is
out of a.
Velmikin's contract up?
Yes, it is.
I mean, they've got wow.
I don't. But with and
Actually,
let me.
do they? Does he have one more year?
I don't want to say he signed a 3 year. Oh no,
No.
it's 1 year.
Due to
Sorry,
his age, it was a 1 year
it is
ELC.
a 1 year. So Quap's on a 1 year. Miftahov, Mif, I can't pronounce. It's not. There's no. The K is silent, so it's Miftahov. Miftahov.
Miftahov is also on a 1 year.
It's such a stupid name. It's a tough name to say. Stupid tough name to say because the K is silent. He's on a 1 year. Caden Premu's on a 1 year. I think. Yes, I want to say so.
Primo 1 year. Yeah, all of the goalies in the minors other than Hajayev have 1 year.
So I want to put Velmikin in that conversation. If he has a good year, I think there's a chance. And that is all the Blue Sky questions. So thank you if you asked a question from Blue Sky. I appreciate it very much. We appreciate it very much. Means a lot that we can ask for questions and get a good amount because it's cool. Let's tackle some of these. Sean Barron, where do you think our goalie depth standing sit after getting Primo back? So one Freddie, Kochetkov, Bussy, Primo. Oh wait, it's kind of hard to see with my hands and my camera, but so it was Freddie, Kochetkov, Bussy, Primo. I'm gonna go Gap, Miftahov, I don't. Gap, Hajayev, and then Gap, Quap is what I would go for goalies in North America. And by the way, that is 6 goalies in North America, which is crazy. That doesn't happen very often. Actually, is it 7?
It's 7.
Okay, I'm not going to say the two numbers close together because it's stupid, but that's a lot of
Yeah,
goalies in North
I
America.
still don't get that meme. I'm too old. Anyways, with me, Anderson has gone down this year. I think he's been pretty mid, other than the Colorado game.
Eh.
So you've got Anderson and Kochetkov, like pretty much one tier. Then Brandon Bussey is a step below. Caden Primo is a step below that. Then I think Miftahov has been okay.
I've actually thought he's looked good. I think he's gotten just
Unlucky.
absolutely worked
Yeah.
defensively.
Hazayev, I think, is trending up, but
Yeah.
still a tier below. And then Nikita Quap is in the basement. It's so, but like, as far as like how the pipeline looks, it looks great. You've got
Oh, it
3
looks.
NHL
This is the
options
best
right
it's
now
looked
and
in
a
years.
capable number 4.
Yeah, this is the best it's looked in a couple years. And then like even outside of it, you still have a guy who looked incredible. Overseas was Frolov, and then I'm still gonna give him his flowers. Velmikin's look good, so best it's
How
looked in a
old
very
is
long time.
Velmikin?
22, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh god, he's young. Oh, he's a year younger than me. Ugh. Which is weird to me, but yeah, whatever. Kami Trucker, fun name. Do the Canes have the view that most players can be developed into highly successful players with the right training and experience? They continue to create amazing players from lower picks. You've talked about that a ton recently. But and I'm gonna tackle it from my perspective, and then if you want to give probably the correct perspective, I'll let you kind of
Sure.
I just have my view of it, but the Canes draft guys that have projectable high level traits that they aren't quite there yet, because like when you talk, the big one for a lot of people is Blake, because he's a undersized 4th round pick, that the Canes take, and the development is great. Chicago Steel, great developmental team. North Dakota is a great developmental team, and he becomes this great player. Um, but at that same point, when Blake got drafted, he had good traits and I get a really good work ethic to become a player that is what he is now. And so I think yes, they I think I'm talking myself into a corner. I'm just gonna let you go. That's kind of my view, is that they draft high level traits but have known detractors because they believe that they can get those high level traits to, I guess, flash more.
Yeah, it's the way I view it is it's like an analogy. So like the Hurricanes swing for the fences every time they're up to bat. Like, 30th overall in 2023, taking Bradley Nadeau. That is a swing for the fences because with Nadeau, either he's a 30 goal scorer at the NHL level or he's not an NHL player at all.
Well, I didn't
Like,
see that part, but
well, with the type of player that he is, he's an undersized player who has some elite traits, but like that's a swing. It's a swing for the fences because they drafted him out of the BCHL. It very well could have been, well, he's dominating BCHL talent. He goes to Maine, and then all of a sudden, whoa, he doesn't look like nearly the same player. Like,
yeah,
obviously, now he does, but they take the players that have the holy crap, if this guy works, it could really work type of mindset. Perfect example is Felix Angersorum.
yeah,
Like, Felix is the type of player where if he works out, he could be like a Teuvo Teravainen type. If he
yeah.
doesn't work out, though, it's going to be a lot like what we saw last year, where he's looking like, oh my God, this guy might be back in Europe within the next year or two. So like with Carolina's draft strategy, like the way they go up and like they'll stray from it occasionally. Like I think Legault isn't necessarily like a swing for the fences, but
He felt like a safer pick just because
you
his
stick with
floor
the
was higher.
same overall philosophy of what sort of traits does this guy have that can get him to play NHL games? And they saw the skating, the size,
The
the defensive ability,
physicality,
the physicality, and we're like, there's something here that we can kind of mold into an NHL defenseman. He doesn't have the ceiling of some of the guys in our system, but it doesn't matter. Like with taking Ivan Rabkin, with taking I would even say like a Roman Bausov this year. Like they take players that could have much higher expectations. Like Jackson Blake, they drafted him out of high school. Like the odds of Jackson Blake becoming an NHL player were very low. I like to bring up the 1% chance chart that was posted when he was
yeah,
drafted.
man.
Like,
Can we not piss off more people?
but with that, like he was a 5'10", 150-pound winger drafted in the fourth round. The odds are against him. But now he's on pace for like 65 points this year.
I've talked about it a ton. Dear God, what a joy it is to watch him play hockey.
Yeah. And so that's the thing is, like that was an absolute home run. Seth Jarvis, absolute home run. But then you're going to get the guys that don't really work out. You're going to get the Timur Mahanovs. You're going to get, the Patrick Hanalei. You drafted him in the third round, and I don't even know if he's playing this year. The Alexi Himasalmis, the Scott Moros, like you're going to strike out a lot. Like the best power hitters, like Manny Ramirez, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, etc. They all strike out a prodigious amount of times,
Hmm. Yeah,
but they also hit a ton of home runs. So it's like if the Canes can get like one guy one or two guys that can be top of the lineup contributors in the draft, that's so much better than settling for, well, maybe this guy will play on our fourth line someday. This guy might be able to chip in as a depth piece or something. Like
Yeah,
Justin Robita probably could be playing on a handful of other NHL teams this year.
you could throw him in like, oh, what team's doing like really bad? Like San Jose, he'd be a killer San Jose Sharks player. Him and Colin Graff on a penalty kill would be sickening. Um, just like
That
you could
looked for
put
like the
him.
worst teams in the league this year.
Yeah, Sharks just
Like
came to mind
he'd be
first.
really good in Columbus. Like
Yeah, like
Buffalo could probably use him. Like
Buffalo could use a lot of things.
St. Louis, Calgary. Like there's some teams that could really use him. The standings are hilarious right now.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
I'm still stuck on the Sharks, dude. Him and Colin Graff on a penalty kill would be so awesome.
I think the Sharks are sneaky good this year, man.
Well, because they have, I don't want to say he's probably the best young player in hockey right now.
I
Mac is
don't
pretty
know.
good.
Leo Carlson's been pretty good.
And then you have the Connor Bedard one, who's also starting to look a lot better. Okay.
Anyways,
Speaking of swinging for the fences and getting guys that are closer to top of the lineup, top six, that kind of thing. Kilgore Trout asks, "What's the forecast for our prospects when we have our top six, except for Tusi, locked up for the next half decade at least? Some of this talent is going to require top 6 minutes." Um, he specifically said, "What happens if Nadeau comes up and does great, and Serrato is NHL ready in 2 years?" Well, Serrato's probably NHL ready close to 1 year in the first place. But me personally, forget this whole like third line and fourth line need to be just forechecking, grinding type lines. Create 3 scoring lines for the love of God. Make Jordan Stahl, Jordan Martinook, and William Carrier be your fourth line that you still give a lot of minutes to because Brendan Moore likes to roll 4 lines. Do that and create a third scoring line, and that is how you get your younger guys and your top 6 to become a higher scoring top 9 that becomes much more formidable. That is how you do it. That is how you succeed. It hasn't happened yet, but that is personally how I would do it, because then you can have your wingers like Jarvis, Blake, Ehlers, and then you throw in like Nadeau, and then you throw in, who am I forgetting? Andrei Svechnikov. And then you still have another open spot if you have. I think you still have another open slot if you create 3 scoring lines instead of just doing 2 and then sprinkling out talent throughout the rest of it. That is what I would do personally, and that is how I would think you get your prospects up and into more prominent roles where they have better opportunity to succeed instead of being on the fourth line with Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Mark Jankowski, and Taylor Hall from time to time.
this is why you draft the way you do. Again, kind of tying into the last things. You want this problem. You want to have players play punch above their weight class, to use another sport analogy, because we haven't had enough of those.
Yeah, we haven't.
That way you could, wow, rude. That way
Sorry.
you could have trades. You could make these types of moves. You can, trade a Scott Morrow for, at least in part, for Keandre Miller. Like there are things you can do with these guys. So like just because the Canes have a lot of stuff locked up in their top 6 doesn't mean any of those guys are going to stay. I mean, if the Canes have an option to move, we saw it with Martin Necas and Jack Drury. I know both those players requested trades, but the Canes aren't afraid to shake up their lineup if it means bringing in a legitimate top end talent.
Yeah. Personally, just because I cover the prospects and I'm not in the business model mindset yet, it would still hurt if I saw guys go. But that is another possibility of it. I like my idea more of just 3 scoring lines because I think
The
that's how you can
2020
succeed.
trade deadline was devastating.
Was that was the Vatanen deadline,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
so we lost. It was
It was
Lusterinen,
yeah, Lusterinen, Kuokkanen.
Quokkanen, Prisky.
Oh no, Chase Prisky. Cool
There
guy though,
was
I
more.
see.
Lucas Walmark. Might have been
Was
it.
he even a prospect at that point?
No, he was a fourth line NHL forward at that point, but like former prospect that I covered.
Yeah, that's the one.
And
That's
then they traded a
yeah,
first round pick for Shea. That was the other thing.
yeah. That wouldn't have hurt me though. I
No,
think.
but like it was still we had two first round picks, and, like
Yeah,
so
I don't
it
disagree.
was a big day for the pipeline.
Yes. Um. But yeah, that's kind of it. From Tom. With the breakout of Yoel Nystrom on the main squad, what can you tell us about Simon Forsmark and how close he may or may not be to North America? What about the other Swedes? Well, we didn't actually talk about Viggo Nordland, but Viggo Nordland's doing pretty well. I've enjoyed his game in Hockey Allsvenskan with IK Oskarshamn. Shamn? I don't know if we actually have to pronounce the end or not. Um, Noel Franzen is getting good Hockey Allsvenskan minutes again, which is good because that's what you want from your defenseman, is to get minutes at the highest level that they can play at. Oscar Voulet, oh dear lord. Yeah, he's a he. We kind of I can kind of loop him into the Russian guys of just having a very just disappointing season so far. Um,
He was
18
always
games
going to be a
and no
long
point.
shot.
Um, yeah, I think I just got spoiled from the couple of good games he had last year. Um, and then obviously the other one is Simon Forsmark. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the last year the Canes own his rights, and I thought last year would have been your time to pull the trigger if you were going to sign him. I know he still had another year on his contract with Timra, but he had just posted career high in points, and he looked like a very, very talented defenseman. Just overall, he looked like a guy that could have just been what Yoel Nystrom is now. This year, it's been mixed, is what I'd say. 6 points in 18 games. He gets 15 to 19 minutes a night. Um, I don't know. I think he could be a guy like that. I think he could be something like Yoel Nystrom. I think Nystrom is better in certain areas, but I also think Forsmark is better in certain areas. But it kind of depends on if the player wants to come to North America and try and grind it out in the AHL to earn an NHL opportunity down the road. But that's kind of my whole thing is that I like Simon Forsmark. I think last year was his best year. And if you were to do it, especially because he said in a Swedish newspaper that it was close, or his agent said in the Swedish newspaper that it was close, that would have thought last year would have been the year. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I think it would be good. I think it would be cool because I think the Wolves have a good chance at getting the most out of him. But I would have thought last year would have been the year.
Yeah, Forsmark has a bit more size. I think skating wise, he's a little worse than Nystrom. Um, Defensively, I've never been the biggest fan of Forsmark personally. I just don't think he does anything like overly well. Nystrom, I always thought was a better puck mover and a better defender. And with Forsmark, I just think like if you get him here, like if he signs a contract, it's a 2 year deal, and I'm like, okay, that's enough time for me to think maybe you've got enough time to develop him into something. But as it stands right now, I don't. I'm not going to be hurt if Carolina just decides to let it go.
Yeah. I really did think last year was the year, but
Yeah, he was a 2022 pick, right?
you say that after I closed his elite prospect
Sorry.
tab. No, it's fine. Yeah, yes. 101
Yeah, that
and 22.
2022 draft is looking stinky.
Hey, 2021 turned out a lot
2021
better
didn't
than
turn
most thought.
good. 2022.
Yeah. Well, thankfully 23, 24 and 25 are probably going to look good in retrospect.
Sorry, I just saw Hallie's question. That made me laugh.
Oh, well, speaking of Mr. Handorf here, because that was the next one we're going to, how many 6'4" Russian puck moving D-men do we have waiting on the wings now? If we're going off the status of puck moving as their main forte that I think is good, you got, to my knowledge, three, and that is Kurbin Limitov, Alexander Suryatsky, Timur Cole. If you're going off 6'4" bigger defensemen that can move the puck that way, but might be a little bit lagging behind of Cole, Suryatsky, and Limitov, you still have Roman Chakrin and you have Roman Bausov. So the answer to that is 5.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. The Canes draft strategy for the past 2 drafts has just been, let's just take big Russian defensemen.
Big
So,
Russian
yeah.
defensemen who skate well and can take away time and space.
Yep. And honestly, if they can do those 2 things, the floor is quite high.
Correct. Little Sebastian, you just got a look at a buttload of rookies playing the NHL. Did anything surprise you in terms of how skills do or don't translate from the AHL? Have y'all learned anything about your own evaluations from this little stretch of games? That's actually a really nice question. I like that.
Yeah,
You're
I
gonna
was
make
gonna
me.
say this was the one I think I was the most excited to answer.
Um, I I think I learned that the NHL is just still I don't want to say miles faster, but is a lot faster in terms of just the pace of play and how quick you have to make decisions. That's the biggest thing is you need to be a very, very, very quick decision maker going from even the AHL to the NHL. So that's kind of my thing. And I think in my evaluations, I need to be a lot more realistic. I think sometimes I can get a lot more ahead of myself than normal. And I would like to imagine I've calmed myself down a little bit of it over the past year or two. But I think it's definitely one thing. And at least for evaluation for rookies, I thought Nikishin's defense would translate a lot more quick. But one of the big things in his game was that he wasn't the quickest thinker. He just kind of played off instinct. And he hasn't fully applied a quick thinking yet. So that's kind of my thing. But I think those are that'd be my answer to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the evaluation that I have, like, I think the ability to, especially so, like, I'm going to talk about Nikishin's a slightly different example for me because
We
he
also do
played
have
a
a
little
question
bit.
about Nikishin, so
Well, he
keep
played a
going.
little bit towards the end of the year, so like I'm going to exclude him for now and just talk about Nadeau, Nystrom, Legault. Those
Okay.
three. Um, how important being able to make decisions at a fast pace is at the NHL level.
Yeah.
Whether it's with the puck defensively or offensively, that matters so much. And I think when we look at it, we can, yes, the skating's super important and that needs to happen, but as we see with players like Jackson Blake, it's not the end all be all. Um, I'm going to use Nystrom as an example. Like, he didn't have a good prospect tournament at all, and that's why you can't put any stock into those games. Because then you watch him in the preseason, then you watch him in these, what has he played? 9 games for the Hurricanes. He's been awesome.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit outmatched physically sometimes, but like for the most part, he's been a really reliable defenseman. And then with Legault, I didn't think he had that great of a preseason. Honestly, I just thought he was kind of okay, and he's been a solid defender. I mean, what was it? Last night's game against Toronto was the first time he's been on
Dude.
the ice for a goal against.
Yeah.
And so, I think the speed and the pace, like you said, is the best kind of litmus test of why the NHL is still the NHL, and every other league is a good step below. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, Fusion skating is definitely not where it needed to, or was
No.
not where it needed to be.
Yeah.
That's improved as the years gone on. But let me finish here with
Oh.
Nadeau. I think my evaluation of him was kind of correct. Like, he's not ready. Like, yes, he played as a
Fourth line
fourth
grinder
liner,
minutes.
but 5-on-5, he's not dominant yet. And he's not able to get into those areas to be a consistent scoring threat. And that's why I think the AHL is best for him right now. Like, I think seeing him play, like, yes, there were some better moments this year, but I still think my evaluation of give him the year in the AHL for the most part, call him up every once in a while. I think that's still correct. Whereas with Nystrom and Legault, I think Legault I projected to play NHL games this year, but Nystrom I was way off. I didn't think he would play this year. And I think some nights he's been the better of the two rookie defensemen.
Yeah, I wanna go back and look to see what I said, but I definitely said Legault. I think I was kind of in the same boat as you, where I said um Nystrom should probably, or not Nystrom, Nadeau should get time in the AHL for that sole reason. Um, that he should just get time uh in the whatchamacallit. I can't even speak right now because I can't even find it. He should get time in the AHL to figure out the best way to play 5-on-5 for his skill set, because that is something that he needs to figure out, and he just hasn't really got it there yet. And I think he will. I don't really think it's a question of if; it's more of a question of when. Um. So yeah, that's what I'll say. I'd go. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. I stopped writing for a month, so I didn't say anything like on paper or I guess print. But like, I definitely was like, yeah, Legault could have stuck around the NHL level and he would have been great, or at least good off the rip. Let me tackle the yes, I said giving him 20 minutes a night in the AHL, working on the minor things holding him back, 5-on-5 play, defensive play is much more important for him than getting 7 to 9 minutes a night in the NHL playing on the fourth line. I'll be damned. It should giving him 9 minutes is nothing, or 11 minutes, which is what he averaged. Just give him time. It's one of those things. Have patience. Just let him do what he wants in the AHL. It'll be great. Second to last question. Scunty, spectacular name. Biggest area of improvement for Nikishin. Decision making and skating. Just be quick. Just be quicker. Half a step quicker thinking, half a step quicker on your feet. Do that. Matt?
I don't really have much to add.
Just stop talking. I was like, all right, man. Cool. Really helps me out as I try and find the last question.
The last question is just the biggest area of improvement from Nikishin this year.
From Scunty?
And
Mr. Matthew,
yeah,
that was the question I just read. Because he asked biggest area of improvement.
oh, I did say the answer. I'm sorry.
Man, it's only
Sorry, my
8:00.
brain is not great today.
Okay, I have
Nikishin, it's the
the last
skating.
question.
It's the skating. He just looks
I
so
yeah.
much more comfortable at the pace of play for me.
Oh, did you have Does he have anything to improve on?
To what he needs to improve on, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I read the question as. I didn't.
oh, what he needs to improve on, I'd like to see him be a little meaner, but at the same time, I like that he's not going out of his way to chase hits because, like,
Yeah.
that he was trying to do that earlier on and he was getting way out of position.
Now he just gets out of position when he goes for pucks behind the net. We're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Dude, every time he's first forechecker, I cry a little bit because it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It does make me laugh because I know Rod is like just dying inside.
But yeah, that scared me. But yeah, if I'm talking about like improvement of like translating skills, the offense is translated quick. Love his breakouts, man.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a threat with the puck on his stick in his own zone to create offense, and it's something beautiful. So the last question that I can find comes from Reese. What is Carolina's rationale for playing Hajayev in the ECHL when he's clearly played better than Kwap and Miftahov? I think I said it earlier. It's just game time. I had the same reaction when he got sent down. Don't get me wrong. I was like, dude, really? He just had a stellar game, and you want to send him down? But then I have my moment of, all right, rein it in, rationally think, and I go, yeah, he's not going to get game time over Caden Premu, Miftahov, and then Quap's injured. So would I rather see a goalie get one start in like a midweek game, or would I rather see him get a back-to-back or 3 games or like 2 games in 3 days, something like that? So I get it. It just stunk because it happened right after he just played a super
Yeah.
good game.
Yeah, he needs playing time, and honestly, like, it was the same. Like, I'm gonna use Pyotr Kochetkov as an example. Like, all we needed for him when he was playing in the KHL was to get games. I was like, I don't care if it's in a lower league. I don't care where it is. Just play Kochetkov, please, somebody. And like, young goalies just need reps. Like, practices aren't going to do anything for them. They need game time. And so getting that game action is going to be that much more valuable for him. So if he can start once or twice a week in Greensboro as opposed to once every other week or two in the AHL, that's so much more valuable.
Yeah, instead of kind of like how to give an example that happened in Russia, Yegor Velmakin, whenever he was with Minsk, a start every other month because
Yeah.
he was third on the depth chart and they
And
never
that's why
loaned
we
him out.
haven't really seen him take off.
And look what he's doing in the VHL. He's he still hasn't really played a ton, but in his most recent games, he's been good and his stats are good.
Yeah.
And you can actually have validity to the stats now, which is always nice. So I believe that's everything, and this is the longest one we've done in a very long time. Oops. um, yeah, thank you all for listening to Developing Hurricanes, and shout out to one dude on the Canes Reddit. I can't believe I visited that place, but he recommended our podcast and said we're very good. So thank you to that guy, or girl, or person. I'm very sorry if I assumed your gender. Thank you for listening. We'll be back sometime in the near future. Yeah, thank you all for asking us questions and listening, and we'll be back sometime soon.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.